Tick loud in the chamber, pressure gets colder. Resla walks in, truth ride in his shoulder. Here for the shift, tear the mask off pretenders. Beat drop, he's a fucking monster. Cuts through the noise, pulls the lies in the daylight. Every move calculated, every word's a fist fight. Building new codes, stacking bricks for the future. Turning midlife to gold, cut the chains like a suture. Keeps time as a weapon, each tick is a death note. Lights up the skyline, watch the whole city take note. Not chasing the fame, here to freeze what's molten. Break open the silence, keep the truth ice coated. No clock to function, he's the one who dictates. Every second's a fuse, watch the skyline detonate.
Oh my days. Another late night. And I blame it on my last night, but I also blame it on me. But oh my gosh. There's so things I want to talk about, but at the same time I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, welcome to the channel. No particular segment or type of show, but just yours truly putting this thing out there. I feel like almost I do better with an actual show title because I've just gotten so accustomed to it. So me doing these one-offs is just a little different for me. But I need to talk about it. I need to talk about things that's going on in my head because it gets very difficult to be out in these streets to try to do it. But at the same time, I also get into segments and conversation with you guys here online and admit it really makes me think. And sometimes I'm really annoyed and I just need to get it off my chest, right? So, first of all, let me just thank everybody who walked into the building. I know I just kind of did this kind of impromptu. We got Miss Raven in the building. We also got Locksmith in the building. Locksmith, do me a favor, as our resident mod, just spread this shit to other people. I know there's other people that's online right now. We're probably going to be talking about religion, politics, mostly religion. It seems like they don't even care about politics anymore. They're just strictly in religion. So spread the word, if anything. Let them know that your boy's going live, and also he's gonna be giving his little bit of a take when it comes to religion, right? I'm gonna get into it because as I'm explaining it, I'm also gonna try to remember to incorporate why I'm doing this in the first place. Because there's a reason why I'm talking about this, because you guys already know who watch me. I don't like to talk about religion. I don't like to talk about politics. And I don't like, you said you already at it. Appreciate you, my guy. So, without a delay, because I have to delete shit on my other side, because I've been away from my computer. So I got like old streams that like tired out. Probably went to members only. Some moves I have to make that I haven't done yet. If you haven't noticed, the name of this stream is, I'm not going to be very specific, but I'm going to say the day I stopped caring, not believing, because people don't fucking read and they don't pay attention and they don't listen. You watched my stream yesterday. We had almost a 10-hour stream, and even the last portions of the last few hours of the stream were about somebody who just was incapable of listening. So I want to make sure when I say my title that people try to understand, because most people do not quote listen to a stream. I had a couple of notes I wrote down, but then I kind of went away. I walked away for a bit. So let me pull up my notes real quick so I can try to make sure I'm on point when I talk to you guys. Nope, not use. Nope, no tab over there. Here we go. Okay. So I got something here now. Okay, cool. So there are probably other content creators on. I don't know. I haven't watched. I got in. I did my own thing. I've been thinking about this for a little bit ever since the stream last night, and I'm going to do this. So a lot of you guys are like, oh, well, I'm not going to come over because there's not a whole people watching. You fucking viewer whores. You're not a content creator yourself, but you won't go anywhere else unless basically there's a whole bunch of viewers already there. So whatever. But I called you what you are. You're a viewer whore. You're a viewer whore. So take it as you will. And of course, if any of you guys starts pouring into the building, just say what's up. You don't need to be a lurker. Some of you content creators as well. The day I stopped caring about religion. The thing that's kind of funny about it, right, is that people assume that if you are talking about religion, let's put it that way. If you are talking about religion, if you are even considering talking about religion, then that means you are either defending or you're trying to destroy that faith. And the truth is, I couldn't care less. I've said this for so long and people don't really pay attention, but I could not care fucking less. If religion is your thing, cool. Rock with it. I'll never try to take that from you. But if you drag it into my house, my channel, expecting me to kneel beside you because somewhere along the line, somewhere along the way of me learning about what's good, cousin Lawrence. Somewhere along the way, faith turned into fandom. Let me say that again. Faith turned into fandom. It stopped being about peace and spirituality, and it started being about performance. Who's holier? Who's right? Who can quote faster the most scriptures? Yesterday, ending this morning, I did a damn near 10-hour stream. Multiple topics, multiple minds that came up there, even a bit trolling on shit that had nothing to do with what we were trying to talk about, even though I'll get into it. Hours of talks. Hours of time for people who are watching to be able to be in a space where they can build reflection. What do you think they got pulled out of that, folks? Let me see if I can pull it up. Probably even shouldn't do so. What's going on, El Pedro? I probably even shouldn't, but I need to because I need to build context because I'm a kind of person that I just don't like you guys thinking that I pull shit out of thin air. You know what? I don't even need to pull it out. But I got a comment because you guys can see that stream and you can see it's a comment it's the only comment. I didn't delete anything. I'm not hiding anything. I got a comment from The Machine's Lies. Not someone I really talked to. I've only heard really good things. I've seen him on platform before. I've never had a conversation with him. And that's because he and I don't even think we really do the same type of content. I don't really watch him, and I would say I don't really say he watches me. I've seen a couple of things that he's done when he comes to collab or when he talks to other people, but I can't really say I really divulge into his content, and I would say probably the same thing for me. I think there are people who watch other content creators and they follow them, and then that's how they come to discover me. That's just really what it is. I can honestly say without a shadow of a doubt, I am not the most poppin' person. But I can also say because I am the contrarian of the space, if you want to put it that way. A space that I never agreed to be a part of. What's good, Omega? What's going on, man? You say I remember the day I stopped caring about religion. You got kicked out of your house. I mean that happens to people as well. That it's happened in synagogues and churches and even in households. All right, I know. Everybody's got a story about it for those who choose to go that route. And there is a difference between when you stop caring, by the way, versus when you stop believing. Let me make that very clear because we even had to have the distinction yesterday about the difference between a conversation and the difference between a discussion. So people don't even know the difference between a conversation and discussion when I've even been talking about it for almost a year people don't understand the difference between a discussion and a debate. And this is where people just get so convoluted. What's good, Reed? People get so convoluted in their conversation and they start making up shit because they think things should be synonymous when the truth of the matter is that's very distinctive. Which is why we say also that words matter, but also people get mad at me, and even I'll even say men like me who say things like, while it's important of what you said is what you said, because I say what I said is what I said, but also how you said it is also important. People get mad. I don't give a fuck. As a man, I should probably have a conversation about not as a man, but the people who use as of statements as if now they are the spokesperson for that particular thing. I should probably have a conversation with you guys about that. We're not gonna do that tonight though. But the ideal that people, yeah, that kind of sparked something in my head. So now I'm trying not to think about it, even though it's in my head now. The idea that people cannot even discern the difference between a debate. This is why we were having that conversation. It was so annoying, but yet interesting to see that individual not understanding the difference between a debate because they haven't been in actual structural debates. I have a conversation which is allowed to have emotions in it, and a discussion because the discussion amounts to discipline, and most people don't understand that, right? What you said, Lawrence? You said you mean you have offended people before? That's funny, sir. That is funny. You of all people have seen me in a lot of different discussions and conversations. You know I've offended a lot of people. Even when here's the truth of the matter, and I said this even yesterday on my stream. You by just opening your mouth, you just by doing something that somebody else wants to do but they haven't done, it's offensive. You daring to do something that someone else feels like they can do better, even though they don't have the courage to do it, is offensive. Straight up. Resla, fuck you. Why are you online? I could do this better than you. Start a channel. Try doing content. Start a channel. I don't need to because I got better shit going on. Then why are you critiquing? If you could do it better, show me. You can show me better than you can tell me. If you don't bother showing, sit the fuck back and watch me. Shut the fuck up. Because the first part of my courage that beats you already is the fact that I'm actually able to get online. That I'm actually able to talk. The second part that says that I'm better at you already is because I'm willing to put my face on it. And the third part is that other people know me for doing so. There's an acknowledgement. There's an acknowledgement. If no one's acknowledged you because you won't even take the first step, sit back, shut up, and be in your feeling. Because that's the most that you've ever amounted to, your feeling. But let me get back into what I am, in fact, talking about. So, as I've stated for so long on my channel, in so many different people's spaces, and even with various content creators who come up and proclaim to be of particular faces, I've said this before, and I've said this many times beforehand, and I'll say it now. I do not and cannot and will not give solitary fucks towards religion. I know people will have a problem with this. Sit there and digest what I just said. I didn't proclaim or profess to be anything. People have decided to put other people in boxes that they never stated. Because I live in New York City, good chance. Because I live in New York City, I have been called a liberal. Because of even ways that I've thought, I have been called a conservative. You know what's the funny part? I'm registered as an independent. But it doesn't matter what I'm registered as. It's a matter of what team people want to put me on. I have been on my own in social media for almost 2 years. I had been labeled as being part of a sphere that I never even agreed to what the naming of that sphere is. Think about that. So it's not about what I want, it's about the perspective and the perception of what other people would like you to be in. So for instance, if, and I've said this before, even when I started my channel, just because you see a black male doesn't mean that I am all blackity black. I criticize as much as I support my people. Because I'm a black man doesn't mean that I believe in this whole aspect of what people like to put out as victim mentality or oppression or whatever. I just say what I've always said. I study human behavior. I see people who limit themselves and their own capabilities, and I say, don't you think you should do better? And I've been having these conversations most of all with Caucasian people, not even black people. Because when I try having conversation with black people, it's a harder discussion to have with them. Because it is harder to hear this, it is harder to hear things that you know to be true from the people who look like you. Let me say that again. It is harder to hear discussions and conversations with people who you believe look like you. People don't like to think of cognition. They like to believe in phenotypes first. This is when I say, like, yes, you can look at me and you can say, he looks like a black man. But the first thing out the gate that I say is that I am American first. No one ever asked me about anything else afterwards. I have to tell you I'm American first. When I am not in America and I go somewhere else and people hear me speak, you know what I've been told by people who are not American? Ugh, American. They don't go black because blacks are everywhere. They go American because they already have a presupposition, a pre stereotype, has, as it was stated last night, a prejudice against Americans, not against blacks, against Americans. So when I go somewhere outside of my country, they look at me as American first. So when I'm here in America, I look at myself as also American first. Everything else flows afterwards. When I say I'm looking after my culture, I don't mean black culture. I mean American culture. Then we can disseminate everything else across that. Because if we can't fix ourselves as a nation, we damn for sure are not going to be able to fix ourselves as a people. The moment you can get that in your head first, without feeling this bubbling up to respond, you'll understand what I mean. And most people don't get to that point. When we hear of people who are part of particular tribes, it's because they think of their people first, right? No, that's not true. They think of their tribe as in their nation first, not their phenotypes, not their skin tone, their people. Who is your people? Your culture. There are many Indians who are out here, many tribes of Indians. When they say for my people, they don't mean all Indians. They mean their tribe, their culture. So when I say I'm American first, I think about my culture first. Most people have a problem, and this is where our nation falls apart. Most people have a problem trying to figure out what exactly does it mean to be American. Let me say it again. People who have been born and raised here still have a problem of understanding what it means to be American. This is why I'm gonna say there's so many people who want to come here to this nation, to this great land, because they want to be American. No, they don't. They come in for opportunity. That doesn't mean they come here to be American. So when we're having this conversation about why I do not care about religion, I've stated this for pretty much my entire career here as a content creator. I've stated it. I am more interested in conversations. I am more interested in people's mindsets. I'm more interested in the human behavior. And human behavior is more than just religion, because it's about who you are, not what you stand for. If any person in here, any person who's watching this in the replay, thinks that who they are is what they stand for, you're already lost. You were a lost child. Yes, child. Somewhere along the way, faith turned into fandom. Have that as a statement, especially when you're here in this fucking areas of panels, right? Because it stopped being about peace, prosperity, and it started being about, as I say for these panels, performance. And not just panels, news segment, everything, ambassadorship, if you want to put it that way. To the things I've mentioned before. Well, I'm mentioning the words I have up here. Holier, who's right, who can quote scripture faster. I did a stream, guys, way longer than it was supposed to be. I was supposed to be online for about 3 hours. I went for almost nine hours and 45 minutes, maybe even 43 minutes. Who knows? But it was way longer than what it needs to be. I was supposed to be having a short time with you guys, then repurposing and re-editing my content so I can get ready to give you guys a stream that would not be like, by the way, the stream that you saw that night. Because everything I'm working towards is about being constructive, but I let it run as a trial, not to what I want, but to as a reminder as to what I already criticize about panel culture. And they did not disappoint. We saw religion, we saw politics, we saw trolling, we saw people that just, we saw it all. We saw it all. We saw it all. We saw everything that I say, I have no fucks about. In this area that we deemed as the panelverse. How well did that turn out? And even at the end of an entire almost 10-hour stream, the only comment, that's not true. It's not the only. I saw Becca's comment. Becca put a comment. But the only comment, and I'm just going to be honest with you, Machine Lies, because you're the one that wrote the comment. There's no way in hell I was going to read your sermon that was in the comment section. I started getting through some of it. I didn't even get a quarter of it through before the words literally clicked into my head. I don't give a fuck. No disrespect to you. It's just to the premise. I did a 10-hour stream, basically. Multiple topics, multiple people, hours of thoughts and even reflection. And I got pulled of everything that was being said. The only thing that got pulled was a single solitary line about Islam. Think about it, folks. Can you guys... No, I'm going to go a little further. Islam. The person wrote essentially a short essay citing Surah 2 or whatever, Romans 9. They quoted Peter, they quoted Paul, wrote a goddamn paragraph after paragraph as if I was on trial. And they probably won't say, Resla, you wasn't on trial. No, but you wrote in an effort to educate. And if you ever watch my stream, which you probably have, but in order to say that you was watching enough to be able to want to do so, feeling the need to be right, the need to express. Meanwhile, I don't even care about Islam. Never have. I don't care about Christianity. I'm talking about people's behavior. The whole, even to the point that you were even trying to make during your sermon, you forget about the point where I say that everyone lies. You want to tell me that Peter, that Paul, whoever in fucking Islam never lies? Of course not. Everyone lies. Even by being quiet and not saying shit, if you know something that's considered to be a lie, they call that a lie by omission. So if that's the case, everyone lies. I don't give a fuck what faith you believe in. You inherently are a liar. By the way, the very man that told me that, the thing that you had an issue that you wanted to take a take with me on, was Muslim. And it happened just a couple of months ago. I just don't remember his name because I honestly could not give a fuck. Because I don't care about religion. Meanwhile, I've had to deal with many people and how they want to talk about people, how they live their lives, all the lies, and all the things that they tell to themselves. I believe, not even I believe, but rather the lies that they tell themselves how to believe, how they should behave based on the mask that they are supposed to wear. Tell me, how is that supposed to hit me? Because to me, just based on how you guys, I'm going to say you guys, you panel junkie, panel whores, it's not about religion anymore. Religion is no longer about connection anymore. Let me say that again. Religion is no longer about connection anymore to you. It is about protection. It is about performance. It is not about protecting the soul, but really about protecting ego. That's not to say Machine Lies was about protecting ego, but even he had felt the need to educate. And this is a problem I have with multiple topics, not just religion. If you had watched me long enough, you wouldn't have wasted your time, because it still wouldn't have made me any more closer to Islam. Let's talk about faith, being a fan, and even this thing that I'm going to just call the panel circus. I don't care who you pray to. I care how you treat people. I care whether you can think without needing someone else's permission. That's what I care about. Panels? They have become stages for sermons. for people who don't live what they actually preach. I have seen people, for instance, Speakeasy got bombarded last night. For people that want to bring up his family and kids and whatever, I'm like, is that religious? Like, is that holy? Or like, is that, even if you want to put it Christ like, is that a thing? By the way, by people that don't show their face. Because I also have to hold you guys to that too. I always say congrats on you being a creator and you're willing to do your own thing to anybody, whether it's a little avatar bubble, whether you now draw your own VTube. But I will still give more respect to someone who puts their actual face online. They still take the most risk. But doesn't stop people from coming after their family and their friends and their children. People who have a stage, but let's be honest, because we don't even see you in real. This is not IRL. These are panels. Folks, let me say this again. This is not IRL. These are panels. They're not Kai Cenat. They're not I Show Speed. They're not running around like Phantom. They're not Emerald. They're not showing themselves at the local Dairy fucking Queen. Y'all need to chill the fuck out. You need to chill the fuck out. They're not showing everything of their life. They're not showing their family. You guys need to chill the fuck out and worry about your own family and stop being so invested on somebody else's. I don't understand how people can show up armed with ideals and these verses, but they show up with really empty thoughts. They talk at people, not with people. Let me say that again for you. They talk at people, not with people. Faith was supposed to humble you. It's not about having a badge. Let me say that again for you believers. Faith was supposed to humble you, not a badge. Now everybody's trying to sound like the next fucking prophet. While I've even pointed out to some people, you're a hypocrite. And it's not just me. Many people have probably already done that before. You can't reason with people, by the way, who treat their thoughts like it's scripture. They don't want to actually have dialogue. What they want to have is devotion. And I'm not signing up for that. I am not going to sign up for that. Let's just talk about the people when they bring up religion, right? What do you say? Cousin Lawrence, you said you're a Christian. But I don't like how many of these so-called Christians online behave. Guess what? Neither do I. But guess what? Not because they're Christian. I just don't like how they behave as a human standard of behavior. Let's talk about what some of them bring up Christianity. Let me see what I can tie into this as well, because I noticed a couple of things I'm holding in my head. I only got like small lines that I have written, but I got to think about it. I talk about human behavior on a regular basis. That's really what my channel is about. We talk about human behavior. You know me. I like to just get you guys to think. I don't try to get you guys to act on a particular thing, except for you to act on yourselves. act on thinking about what you're doing when you're consuming. I get you guys to try to think about patterns, your own reactions, and how people justify what they do. That means I fall into that lane as well, because that's my lane. So when someone drags religion into a conversation, to me, I already know that it's a dead end ahead. It's going nowhere. Because the second faith has to enter the actual conversation, logic is out the window. That's not to say that everything that is faith-based is illogical, but the moment people will, let's be honest, we've all seen this. People will take the most non-logical things, and because it was written in a book, well, it must be true because the words, the ink is real. I remember months ago, or rather, I'm trying to remember months ago. I don't remember who the person was. I'm not a freak. You guys know this. I'm not a frequent visitor of panels or spaces and people that come to me. And I've only been doing this for almost 2 years. I know some of the people they've been doing it for years. They got so much clips and whatever. What's good, Zephyr? There was a Muslim guy, and he decided he was going to educate me about Islam. I couldn't tell you today what his name was now. Not because I would say that I just forgot. I don't remember because honestly, I didn't care enough to store it in my memory. In order for me to have remembered, I would actually have to give a shit about the faith. And I don't. Not Islam, not Christianity, not any of them. I just don't care. And I guess that's what kills me. These folks come on and they're acting like I asked for a sermon. I did not. I'm talking about people, not prophets. Let me say it again. I'm talking about people, not prophets. Damn for sure not no self-proclaimed. I've seen you fucked up all over these spaces. Prophets. You can have your own opinions. Why I even did a whole show before called Opinionated. But your opinions are not truth. They're not fact. But they hear the word belief. And suddenly, I am sitting through a religious test that nobody fucking requested. Finn? What you said? Resla, dude probably gonna hit up his window, but that's my, that's my judgy. Listen, nothing I could do about it. Except for have people to try to think for themselves. All I've ever done. I'm talking about these people that I just be thinking like you're here's the funny part, folks. You'll never catch me. Let me not say never. I'm being hyperbolic. There are very few people who I actually rock with. And I chastise, we gonna look at these. I chastise them because I love them. They're actually my people. So there's very few people for religious that would ever chastise or pick on them because of religion. And really, the only person I would do that with, really, the only people I would think about doing that with is Blacks Who Defy and John the Baptist. Two people who have known, well, Blacks Who Defy is a content creator, but John the Baptist is more of an influencer in a particular spacing. Only two people I would actually bring forth and starting a conversation with them about religion. Outside of that, I don't bother doing so. I don't bother doing so. It's just not important to me. You said I'm dropping frames. I don't know why I'm dropping frames. I haven't done anything. It still says excellent on my part, but yeah, you're right. I did drop a frame, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm still seeing it, but for some reason, you're right. It dropped me from 1080 720. I don't know why. Interesting. Honestly, if anything, I mock that. I mock that pivot every time it happens. Only because I know them to do the things that I say we should be doing for ourselves. And I'll dive into it later, and you'll tell me if you catch me. If you'll catch me when the moment happens. Tell me if you catch what I'm talking about when the moment happens, right? Because I have been here long enough on this earth, not just on panels, but I have been here long enough on this earth to know enough to know how certain things go. And one of the things that I even done that you can even see, hey Zephyr, what's going on? Sorry, I didn't see you until now. Until now, and if any guys who ever saw some of my previous streams, then you know that even what happened in my last stream was really everything that I covered. Well, the majority of, not even majority, but some of the things that I caught on that I've done on my other previous streams called like the deadly niches of YouTube, the deadly niches of social media, the conversation killers of social media, the things that can only be talked about on panels because they're not ready for other conversations because they don't match up. It's easy to have conversations in areas that you don't qualify in. Keep in mind, I'm not going to mention all the areas. You can go back and see that stream if you like. Probably need to be a member now, but and not for nothing, the topic of religion sits at the top. The religion sits above politics. Because once someone brings it into a conversation, the energy shifts. It stops being about the message and it becomes about the membership. They're not here to understand, folks. They are here to prove. And I'm not sitting there thinking, or rather, I should say this, no, to be honest, to clarify. I'm here, sitting here, looking at it in real time, and I'm thinking, what was the reason for the stream again? For those who watched that stream, not all you have, but what was the reason for the stream again? Because I do this when I start seeing these deadly niches pop up. I start going, what was the reason for all this again? I've done this several times. That tends to be my go-to, the foundation. Why were we doing this again? How did this come up? If you've got to announce your faith every 5 minutes, in my mindset, you're not practicing it. You're just advertising. And for those because there are people who like to advertise faith even though they are not a part of it. Let's talk about that. I'm going to call that faith as company. Let's just be honest. And I'm going to do this as the majority of people who like to pop up on panels happen to be men. I'm going to specifically and mainly talk to the men. Some of you don't study religion because you actually believe in it. You study it because it gives you someone to talk to. I'm going to let that linger for a bit for you. You don't study it because you actually believe in religion. You study it because it gives you someone to talk to. Because in your real life, you should just admit it, you're fucking lonely. You don't crave understanding, you crave connection. You wrap conversation in verses. Not about God. It's about not feeling invisible. Honestly, even in the movie Castaway, Wilson had to create. Wilson was created for Tom Hanks' character, so that he can have somebody to talk to. Because men would like to believe that they're just so stoic and they can be on their own. They don't need anybody. They can live just alone in the woods. Every species thinks about some form of connection. Everybody needs something to talk to. Let's stop pretending that quoting scripture online is spiritual intimacy. It's not a revelation. It's a relief. To some of you, religion isn't faith. It's really a filler for your loneliness. Sorry if I'm calling you out, but I'm not sorry because you need to be called out. And I get it. You're not going to admit it outright because it makes you look soft. You don't want to admit you're not really a believer. You just know you need to talk about it because it's the only way that you can actually connect with other men. Because in every other demographic, in every other conversation, in every other scenario, you're not going to measure up. Folks, you will see people on a consistent basis in these panels talk about religion, talk about politics, and talk about so much other bullshit. But you know what you won't hear them talk about? Money. Because let's be honest, the majority of folks can't measure up to money. I don't talk about money. But we know that at the end of the day, people keep talking about money because that's actually part of the reason why people keep bitching about politics. Because they don't measure up in the money component. Because people with money are not heavily worried about politics. Because they can pay for whatever the hell these people are thinking about, or they can pay for lobbying to get what they want. The average person does not compete on that scale. It's a different class. Which is why you can bitch about politics because you're not in that class. But let there be a stream about money. People don't join that stream. Why? Because people are especially men, are very insecure about their finance. But argue about something that no one's going to be able to know until they're dead? Oh, we can talk about that all day. All fucking day. All week, all month, all year, all eternity. Or forever until you're dead. Or forever until I'm dead. We can argue about that because you know why? It doesn't point out insecurity. That's why it's an easy but deadly niche to fall into. And it doesn't matter which one. You could be Jewish, you could be Protestant, you can whatever faith. I don't give a fuck if you're Hindu. It's all the same shit to me. These people hide behind holy words to dodge the real questions of reality. When their ideals fall apart, they pull out their faith like it's a fucking shield. If your identity collapses when someone challenges your belief, that is not convictions, ladies and gentlemen. That is fragility. And I'm not going to babysit it. If the only depth that you can offer is your religion, you have no identity outside of it. When I sit here and I say, I want to know what you think, but you pull up the Bible, you pull up scripture, you don't have an identity. I'm not an ally of your dogma. I am an ally of peace only. Mostly my peace. If you have to hide behind something else, you are not your own individual. If that costs me, by the way, relationships, so be it. Because I'd rather lose friends rather than lose my sanity. So I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. I know there's probably not many people that's gonna do that with you. But we gonna be off the record right now. And I'm gonna tell you what I tell everybody else. If you got an issue with it, well, make a video. I most likely won't see it. I am likely not to see it. Just gonna keep it a buck with you. I've seen some people argue about shit that goes nowhere. You'll hear it all the time. Well, God says, Jesus says, as if that line will end the fucking argument. What they really mean is this. I don't want to think about it anymore. I just don't want to think about it anymore. It's not conviction. It's exhaustion disguised as devotion. And you can feel it. You can feel it in the way that people talk about faith online. It's less about understanding, folks. It's more about approval. They want the moral high ground because it is easier than standing on uncertain ground. Let me say it again for you. Maybe rephrase it. If your identity collapses when someone challenges your belief, that is not conviction. That is fragility. I am not going to be here to babysit that shit. Just gonna keep it a buck. What's going on? The winch in the building. Because depth is not found in how loud you want to believe that you are within your faith. It's how calmly, not just you, but the people that you're talking to can understand. And most of these conversations that you see are not about truth. They are about control. People don't want clarity. What they want is hierarchy. Let me say it again for you. They don't want clarity. They want hierarchy. And religion gives them that. A built-in chain of command for the insecure to hide behind. I'm not here for your dogma. I'm just here for peace and to understand how people can find their peace. Let's talk about this idea because I've heard people mention this word a lot. Legacy. Let's talk about legacy over loyalty because there's been this whole aspect about legacy, right? You know what I actually believe? Do you know what is something you should actually believe in? Gratitude, work, quiet, legacy. And legacy isn't who you believe that you've left behind. It's about what you've done to better society, the people around you. That is your legacy. Most people want to believe, or rather, most people want to be in a space where their name will be remembered. But if you cannot do that to become impactful, what's the fucking point? I think that family photos is just not enough to say that you've built a legacy. If people have to look at your family photos and they go, who is that? If they look at your family photos and they go, are you even family? If you dig out your family photos and there's nothing but dust all over it, you haven't done enough. But if you haven't made anything better while you were alive, your name is just noise that will fade. This is the reason why people aim to be senators, president, representatives, mayors, councilmen, councilwomen, because their names get solidified in history. The greater they can rise, the more their name is solidified. You can pray for an eternity all you want. But if your community is still starving while your faith is only there to build temples, what did you actually build? Especially when the temples are not building your name. If your children inherit debt, division, confusion, what exactly did you pass down except your last name, which was given to you, not created, given? Legacy is supposed to be tangible. It is supposed to be a ripple that improves the world, society at least. not a speech that people will make at your fucking funeral. That is not legacy. Your faith can guide you, not go take away your faith. Sure can. But what you've done, what your testimony is, what your footprints have actually done, made, been, conquered, were at, that's the thing that will testify. Legacy is your action, not simply your memory. I've met people who talk about heaven, but they live like their hands are tied behind their fucking backs while here on earth. They say that they're loyal to God, but they're disconnected from humanity. They'll scream loyalty to the book. This is important. They'll scream loyalty to the book, but they ignored the broken man that stand next to them. They will claim loyalty to the book, but not to the very ancestors that gave them breath. You care more about that holy book, but you won't acknowledge the people that were able to pass down their genetics as to why you're here today. Loyalty without impact is noise. Legacy without contribution, honestly, vanity. Vanity dressed up in pretty ass beads. So when I say legacy over loyalty, I mean this. Stop pleading, stop begging for allegiance to things that make you feel safe but don't make you useful. Stop waiting for a reward in the clouds when your work is right here in the dirt. Because the real measure of belief, in my opinion, is not about who you worship. It's about what you fix before you die. That is the real measure. Give me a quick moment. I'm gonna hit the bathroom real quick, and then I'm gonna give you my final thoughts.
I
Ah, God. So let me give you my final thoughts before anything else, right? I don't hate religion. I don't prescribe to any type of it, especially as I stand right now. I I hate what people do with it. I hate it when people hide behind it when they're wrong. I hate when they use it to shame others. I hate when they throw it into conversations like it's a fucking grenade. Then they act like they act holy when they're in the rooms that blew up the entire shit in the first place. If there is a God, he's probably tired, sick and tired of being used as a debate weapon. If he's real, he gave you a brain for a reason. Fucking exercise it. Use it. This is the closest thing to prayer that still works. I'm not arguing faith. I'm observing behavior. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is the start of actually beginning to think. So, yeah, I've stopped caring about religion. Not out of hate, not out of spite, out of my own sense of peace. You keep your gods. I will keep my clarity. I am your host, Resla, and this is me. Off the record. Later, y'all.